watching Backpages tonight, and welcome back to Jonathan Liew from The Guardian and The Mirror's chief football writer, John Cross. We want to get straight to the back of The Sun. Reports that Sir Gareth Southgate has been linked with the Manchester United job if Ruben Amorim was to be sacked. Gatecrasher is the headline here. Samuel Luckhurst reporting that Sir Gareth Southgate fears he would not be given the time to transform Manchester United into a force again if he became their next manager. Jonathan, what do you make of this? I mean, we're talking about hypothetical, of course. Ruben Amorim is still in the job, says he still wants the job. Could Sir Gareth Southgate be the man to turn things around if he was to get an opportunity? And this whole idea of time doesn't exist in modern football management, does it?
It really doesn't. And I think the Southgate to United thing has always really baffled me. And partly, I know it's because he's an acquaintance of Jim Ratcliffe. He knew Dan Ashworth when he was at United, but it has just seemed to me such a weird fit for a club of United's, where United are at the moment, and Southgate's career trajectory, where he's essentially done one job really well, because it was he helped to set it up. He made the job what it is, and got a lot of time and got the space to do what he wanted. I think towards the end of his time at England, he talked about how the scrutiny and the pressure got to him a little bit. What does he think it's going to be like at Manchester United, where the scrutiny is not every 6 weeks or 2 months where there's an international break or when there's an international tournament, but it is essentially constant? Where your private life and your personal life are not your own, where everything you say is basically twisted into a headline, often by very bad faith actors who are trying to make you look silly. I'm not sure he is a good enough coach for the higher end of the Premier League, which admittedly is not where United are competing now, but where they want to be. And I think these sorts of rumours, I'm still slightly baffled as to where they come from. I don't think United fans would want Southgate. I don't think Southgate could do with the hassle. He's talked in the past about how he probably doesn't want to do another coaching job, and I don't see who this works for. But it's a nice headline and it's a nice story. I just can't see how it happens.
Could this work for United, John? Could this work for Gareth Southgate? He's been out of work for a long time now. It's over a year, isn't it?
It is, yeah. The most surprising part of this story, I must say, was the second part when it says Southgate is open to discussing the job. Look, I just think he's made so many noises about not necessarily wanting to go back into coaching and management. I think his biggest quality and his best asset as England manager was setting a culture and basically making it fun and enjoyable and successful, relatively, to play for England again under his watch. And I think he, as England manager, didn't get and doesn't get, he probably will in about 10 years' time, the credit that he deserves from transforming, I think, the England national team, and particularly that culture. And that's what Man United need, I think, basically on and off the pitch, a cultural reset. So I can see a certain logic. But I'm really with Johnny. I just don't think it's a particularly good fit. I mean, Southgate, from sort of almost the bear pit of the England fans chucking beer into kind of, the expectation at Old Trafford. Come on, why would he need it? Why would he want to do it? I just think he's, from my mind, he made himself a bit of a national hero as England manager, and he got a knighthood. Why would he kind of put that on the line and cause himself so much stress and hassle to kind of take over at a club where he definitely would not get 4 years? I mean, I must say, my colleague Jeremy Cross was writing this morning saying that basically he definitely won't be taking Man United. So let's see, kind of thing. Okay. But I just can't see him taking it, really. I just don't think it would be very good for his health or his lifestyle or his future, really. I just think at the moment United's a poison chalice, and basically Southgate, I still think is a brilliant manager on the back of what he did with England. Why would he need Manchester United? Makes no odds, makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, something for us to keep an eye on. But if Sir Gareth was to take that job, he'd have to keep an eye on the Manchester United midfield, in particular Bruno Fernandes. Let's go to the Daily Express. They've gone with the headline at the top of the page, deep fake. Ruben making Bruno miserable by playing him further back. Why is Amorim playing him in the centre of midfield, Jonathan, as a number 6, number 8, when he's been so good as a number 10 in recent seasons?
Well, I think the reason for that is that Amorim wants a little bit more pace and dynamism in that front three. That's why he brought Mbeumo in. That's why he brought Cunha in. That's why he brought Sesko in this summer. And personally, I worried about where Fernandes was going to fit in right from the start when Amorim came in. But his run of form, his incredible run of form over the second half of the season, I think it's almost kind of tied his hands a little bit, because you do have to find a place for this guy. He is so inspirational. He is talismanic. He is, your best set piece taker for another thing. And the fact that he has now had to be squeezed in that sort of double midfield pivot alongside Ugarte, that keeps Kobbie Mainoo out of the team. There's been lots of talk about he might have to move on to get a proper first team football, and I think it's just another symptom of how United have essentially been too reactive and not really thought through how the Amorim tactical blueprint is going to work in practice, and what it does eventually does to your most productive, your most talismanic, one of your most popular players, if there isn't a natural fit for him in the system. So United do look a little bit unbalanced now. They certainly look pretty shaky in defensive transition when Ugarte is basically have to do so much running for Fernandes. And he's a good enough player to make it work, Bruno. But I think United are losing something with him, and I'm not sure I necessarily buy that he's kind of disgruntled or upset, but it's very clear that it's not the best position for him right now.
Onto the Mirror back page picture of the Liverpool goalkeeper, Alisson. Could be out for up to 6 weeks, John. That's a massive blow to a Liverpool team who are on the ropes a little bit, if you look by their last couple of results.
Yeah, back-to-back defeats, isn't it? At Crystal Palace and then Galatasaray in this midweek. A difficult away game at Chelsea. They have got a very good backup, but I think all said and done, that basically when you consider the game that Alisson had at Palace at Selhurst Park last Saturday, particularly in that first half, he is an absolutely phenomenal goalkeeper. He's a presence, and his defence know him. And basically, when you are going through a bad spell, when you are conceding goals and looking vulnerable defensively, the last thing you want is to lose your kind of really first choice established and very experienced and top quality goalkeeper. And that's the reality now we're seeing in this, because basically he's out for an estimated 6 weeks with a hamstring. It looked very odd when he kind of limped off and suffered that injury. That's what it is. And basically that's a huge blow for Liverpool. I still think Liverpool will roar back this season. I think they're so good. They've got a lot of players just trying to find their feet and big signings. Isak, I'm sure, get a ton of goals. I love Wirtz. I think he's a terrific player. And I just think that Liverpool will hit gear, but very early days and sort of kind of teething problems. And this Alisson blow will certainly not help.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one as well. Just to finish, Jonathan, I want to come to you on the back of The Guardian, turbocharged Olympics. And this story really piqued my interest. Cross-country running at the Winter Olympics. Seriously?
Yeah, I mean, this is part of Sebco's big idea for the future of the games. You have cross-country cycling, cross-country running and cyclocross are very clearly winter sports. But the interesting thing is he wants to move stuff like judo, which is an indoor sport. He wants to move that to the Winter Olympics as well. I mean, if you can move anything if anything indoors is a winter sport, then that's basically half of the sports of the Olympics. I guess the serious point is that the Summer Olympics has basically become so big, so bloated, that it is also almost become unmanageable. Logistically, but also it becomes unfair on a lot of athletes from a lot of sports who work really hard for 4 years and find that they are basically drowned out of the conversation because there are 35, 36 sports or whatever there are at the Model Olympics. So they've decided that they want to try and move some of them over, and I think it's a kind of a symptom of the way the modern Olympics has gone a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, Jonathan, John, thank you very much. Jonathan Liew and John Cross, many thanks for your company. If you missed any of tonight's show, another chance to see Back Pages tonight at hour. It's also a podcast, as you know. Just download Back Pages on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.